Enough of that. Hello, welcome to, goodness me, probably my first solo video on YouTube in a long time. And that's because we're on lockdown at the moment. I'm the only person here. And so I've gone for this, I thought, well, first of all, video is, I'm going to talk you through my current guitar collection. I know lots of you have asked me about that. So I've got, I think, most of my electric guitars here. There might be one or two exceptions. Tell you about them, plug them in, and tell you the little story behind them if there is much of one. It's a very simple setup today. So I've got a camera here, which I've pressed record on, my iPhone over here, which I'm hoping I can just sort of do this to sort of do close-up stuff to. I'm running my most recent pedal board using a Boss RC1 looper. And the thing that you've not seen before, it's going to be upside down, I'm afraid. Oh no, it's not. I'll turn it the right way up. This, hopefully you can see that, is a little gadget that just arrived in Andertons about 3 or 4 days ago called the Humboldt Simplifier. And it's a completely analog guitar amp and speaker simulator. So my pedal board is running into here, distortion pedals into the front, effects, you know, reverbs and stuff into the effects loop. I've got a choice on how I might demo this a little bit later. Pete and I want to do a proper video on this, but with multi-camera and everything. But this is got 3 basic amps in it. It's got a British, like an AC British style amp. It's got an American Californian style amp and a British Marshall-y kind of amplifier. And you can do stuff like select what speaker you want and mic placement. And I really like the analogness of it. So there's no menus, no hidden sort of features as such. Everything's got a little button or a switch to make it do something. And I plugged it in a day or two ago just for messing around. And I just thought, wow, I really liked it. So it gave me an idea for how to do a simple setup here. So I'm not actually using a guitar amp. I've not mic'd anything up. Basically this Simplifier is plugged straight into a little Zoom recorder, which is also recording my voice. So anyway, guitars. Ta-da! Here is my first ever, I don't want to say decent guitar, because my first ever guitar was a little Korean-made Fender. It's a bit weird, really, that Fender did do a run of these guitars that didn't say Squier on the headstock. They said Fender on the headstock, but they were very affordable. And I had a red one of those for a bit. That was when I first started playing. And then I had a little bit of a dalliance, if that's even a word, with Yamaha on their MSG guitars, which was a double cut, kind of like somewhere between a PRS and a Les Paul, I suppose, that was designed by a guy called Martin Booth. I might just switch my drive pedals off, they're a bit noisy. So a guy called Martin Booth, who was a British guitar designer and quite well known for doing setups and custom jobs and stuff. Anyway, they were great, and I had a standard one of those and a custom one of those. But I bought this Stratocaster from another member of staff at Andertons in the late 80s. And it was a parts caster. So it's a 1988 standard sort of Strat neck. The body, I think it is a Fender body, but it's definitely not ash or alder. We all thought it was mahogany. It's a little bit heavier perhaps than normal. and it didn't have any stuff on it, so I put this sort of trem system on it with the Graphtec saddles. Maybe you can see here, Graphtec is they're like those sort of polymer alternatives to sort of metal. Graphtec nut, locking tuners, shallow locking tuners. Oh, I'm trying to do this to the camera, hopefully you can see this. Locking tuners over here, staggered ones as well, so there's no need for a string tree. And then of course the pickups and I put in some Seymour Duncan ones. That was when I first started my kind of, I guess, long-term sort of love affair, maybe a bit over the top, but I've always liked Seymour Duncan pickups. So this is a really classic jazz in the neck, JB in the bridge, some nondescript single coil Seymour Duncan pickup in the middle. Trem system backed all the way onto the body, so you can get a little bit of forward motion, but it doesn't really go backwards at all. Standard volume, 2 tones. And originally this was green with a pearly scratch plate. It's a very Jeff Beck. Now it's white with a brown scratch plate, and it has been like this for probably the last, I don't know, 25 years, something like that. I've noticed a big split down here which started occurring about a year ago, and I'm guessing that's just where the wood or whatever, it's been left somewhere where the wood's expanded a bit and cracked the lacquer. But it's cool. I guess I like this guitar probably 40% because it's a nice guitar, 60% sentimental value. Here's what it sounds like. Just gonna I've got reverb on my board. Turned all the drive pedals off, so all you're hearing now is the Fender-y kind of setting on the Simplifier. The middle pickup. Very thin, stratty. The bridge pickup. Much honkier. My distortion pedals for that beginning jam were a Wampler Ego compressor into a snake oil Very Thing, which is like just for boost, and then into the Nobles ODR Mini, and it just sounded like this. And I've got to admit, I'm not normally a fan of these kind of directy kind of setups, but I think this sounds wicked. I'll go through some more settings on the Humboldt. I've got positions 2 and 4 if I want them. But I've always liked this very low gain humbucker in the neck, so that's the jazz, with a slightly hotter and brighter humbucker in the bridge, but nothing insane in here. So there we go, my first guitar. I don't really give my guitars names. The sticker, I wish I could remember. I'm convinced that I had a pair of shoes, like something like Vans or Converse or something like that, and I'm convinced the sticker came in the box. But I cannot find anything where, you know, a brand of clothing from the late 80s was using this, but I'd love to find out because it's a cool sticker and it's been stuck on there literally ever since I repainted this white. So actually maybe it wasn't late 80s, maybe it was more like early 90s when I painted this white. Help me out. Where is the blue man from? So anyway, that is my first proper Strat. Now, I'm gonna try and do this chronologically, but I think the next one I bought, because of course, I keep forgetting I've got this, because I always keep thinking I don't have a telly, but I do have a telly. And this is a 1997 Fender USA Thinline Telecaster. So Thinline meaning it's semi-hollow. The only thing I changed on this was when I first got this, I was playing in a heavier rock band. And so I took the bridge pickup out and put a Seymour Duncan, pretty sure I put hot rails in there, you know, the 2 blades, so proper humbucker, mini humbucker. and it didn't like the guitar very much, or the guitar didn't like it very much, and I used to get sort of feedback problems and sort of it would overload. Then I just always used to felt like it was just too much, and it lost its sort of Telecaster essence. So I didn't use this guitar for years, and then about 3 years ago, a very nice chap at Fender, I was talking to him and he's like, what's that? And we talked about this guitar, and I told him why I didn't use it, and he said, oh, I'll just send you like a, and I'm going to say I can't even remember what this is, but this pickup at the back I think is a twisted telly or a no-caster or something, but it's very traditional Fender. So I've got a feeling the strings have probably been on this guitar ever since I changed the pickup, so it might be a while. So here's the neck pickup. Both pickups. See, proper telly bridge sound now. It didn't do that when it had the hot rails in there. Tone and volume, and let's try some different pedals. Let's try it with a light speed. Bit of very thing over the top, and let's put some delay on, why not? There we go. Well, look, it's Telecaster-y, right? So I like this guitar. I think I'll just restring it and start using it more. It's in pretty good nick considering it's 23 years old. Heavens above. Heavens above. So there we go. So this was number 2. Number 3. It might get tricky now. What was number 3? I think number 3 was this one. And as soon as I set my guitars up, I suddenly thought to myself, I've been very conservative with my guitar colours over the year. They're all either some sort of brown sunburst or white, with the exception of the telly, which is black. So this is a pretty special guitar that I may or may not have done a terrible thing to. So this was built in the year 2004. And it was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Strat, 1954. Obviously, the first Strat rolled off the production line. So Yuri Shishkov, master builder at Fender, still there, built a run of these, and then he went around Europe with, and at each store that he visited, I don't know how many stores he went to, 20 stores or whatever, at each store he invited a crowd of people in so that they could see how he would do the basic level of kind of closet classic style relicking. So this guitar, when I bought it, was kind of pretty immaculate. So closet classic is like a little bit like Gibson's VOS kind of finish, so tiny bit of wear, but nothing crazy. And I left it in, I had it and it sat in its case for years and years and years and years, and I never really played it. And then for some bizarre reason, one day I thought, I'm going to get this guitar out. And I really liked it. It has a fat neck on it, fat 50s neck. It originally had just a 3-way switch in it. It's got the 54 custom shop 50s pickups in it. The cool thing on these was the tooling that was used to make the plastic parts on this, so the pickup covers and the knobs, is the original tooling that was used in the 50s. And Fender said after they'd done this run, the tooling was put into the Fender Museum to never be used again. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, so I started playing this guitar, and then I simultaneously realised that I like relic Strats to play way more than new Strats. So I relicked it with some of the guys in the Andertons guitar service department. I'm guessing that none of us had anything like the level of experience of doing this that, you know, a master builder at Fender would have, or anybody at Fender would have for that matter. So I don't think we did kind of as authentic a job. But if you look on the back of the neck here, you can kind of see we took tons of the lacquer off the neck, and it plays really nice. So I do like this guitar to play. And here's what it sounds like. Oh, and we installed the 5-way switch as well. Maybe now would be a good time to show you. This is just setting it over to the Marshall-y kind of sound on the Humboldt. Sounds cool, right? Bit of gain in there if you want it. The pedal I'm using, by the way, every time I just want to kind of just add more of a front end boost rather than actual gain, is the snake oil Very thing. So this is just the Humboldt. And then this is the added boost. And I like the mid frequency hump that's on that pedal. Anyway, let's just pop it back to a kind of a cleaner sound, back to the Fender-y. So, one relict guitar that was probably worth loads of money and now is probably worth a lot less, but it gets played more. So there's the trade-off. What else can I do? What have we got now? A Wampler Ego and a Nobles. Great sounding guitar, so there we are. So that was, as I said, that was 2004. Now, somewhere in between all of this mix, I bought my 335 as well, which I don't have with me today. But it's basically the same as Pete's Red 335, other than mine doesn't have the trem system on it. So what was next? Probably, well, we're probably going to 2010 now. 2010, maybe 2012. So, I came in, so let's go. This would be this is actually the current version of the Cap10 from Chapman. So as you guys know, I started working with Rob in about 2010, and we kind of formed a guitar company together, and fairly early doors we did a Chapman version of my original Fender Strat. Now the latest version, this one here, would have typically come with Chapman's own pickups, and I've put the Seymour Duncans in. And I, again, just because I fancied hearing something different, these aren't the JB and the Jazz. Sorry, I'm tuning, and as you can see, my brain can't speak and tune at the same time. These aren't the JB and the Jazz that are in my Strat. And actually, in earlier Chapmans, they actually were the JB and the Jazz. So I kind of, if I'm honest with you, probably just going to go back to them at some point or other. This, oh man, I can't even remember. It's something, I remember this being something like a custom hybrid, and this might be a 59 or something like that. So I think the whole idea was it was going to be pokier. So again, it's a pivot, two pivot trem rather than a vintage style trem on there. All the switching does the same scale length, reverse headstock, but still with the locking tuners. So what does this sound like with something on it then? Let's try... a little bit darker sounding, mate. Oh man, it's a good guitar though. Too many pedals at my feet here. I've got too much choice. Let's see what. There's a bit more volume. Anyway, so this guitar obviously isn't that old. This is probably only 2 or 3 years old, but it became a thing probably 10 years ago. Right, we must be getting close to, who knows. Right, this is probably the next one. This is fun, and I'm going to use this a lot. No, it's not the next one. That's a lie. This is the next one. Apologies that it's completely covered in dust, but as you can see, I literally just grabbed it. It's completely ruined. This tuning's not even remotely in. And I have a horrible feeling there's a reason behind this. So, I know why this is so out of tune. Right. I'm not going to play this one, or at least if I am, I'm going to have to tune it to something weird. Hang on, give me a minute.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, back in the room now. Apologies that this confused me slightly here. Look, let's have a look at this guitar. So it started life as a Squier Classic Vibe. Must have been around about 2013, 2014, something like that. And we basically relicked it and Eric Claptoned it. So you can see in the cavity at the back here, we've got the wooden block here so that the trem can't move. We've got the Clapton Fender mid-boost thing on the second tone control, and we've got a set of Seymour Duncan noiseless pickups in it. And the reason I had some problems tuning this is the last time I used this in a video, we put some ridiculous strings on it, like, I don't know, 60 gauge strings or something. So I can't play this in concert in normal tuning, but I've tuned it to D, and it might work. Let's have a little look. It's hard to play. I should... but that's with a light speed just gain on it. And if I wind the mid boost thing in, can you hear that difference? Actually, if I go back to that more martially sound here and turn all the pedals off, whether this'll might demo the mid boost a bit better, but feeling I've somewhat ruined this guitar by putting such crazy heavy strings on it, but maybe we can restore that to some sort of form of glory. But what it did do was, this is a, you know, another sentimental guitar. So this, which was made in 2010, we gave to my father-in-law for his, I want to say it must have been his 70th birthday, and then unfortunately he passed away not long after, like a couple of years later. And my mother-in-law said, look, you should have this because it's a nice guitar. It's an American standard Strat with an ash body. And I decided that what I would do, because I liked that classic vibe so much, I would Claptonify this as well. So you probably can't see it, but underneath the back plate here, it's also got the wooden thing in it. It's got the mid boost in it, but now it's got Fender noiseless pickups in it. So other than that, oh no, and it's got the TBX tone circuit. So here's normal Strat sound into the more martially sound. I cannot believe how good this thing sounds. That's just this Simplifier thing. Anyway, we'll wind the tone thing up, or the, you know. I can't remember how it goes now. Having like a little distortion pedal built into the guitar, basically. So that, I think that's beautiful. Two-tone sunburst. Just again, it's another sort of standard Strat. But just before they probably bought the whole American Professional thing in, so it's still just standard, ye olde standard. 3 Strats, completely coincidentally, all sunburst. I'm not even sure I like sunburst. What's going on? I mean, I obviously do, but weird, weird, weird. Right, done that one, done that one. Then this one. This is 2014. Custom shop. I thought I need to buy a Les Paul. I have to buy a Les Paul. Tried a lot of Les Pauls and just decided that in the end, custom shop was where it's at, or is where it's at. if you can afford it. So it's a 58. So the 58 appealed to me largely because it was about £1,000 less than a 59. And all you appeared to get on the 59 was the Flamia top. So thought 58, and then Gibson allowed dealers to sort of pick tops, so they'd send you photographs of all the different maple caps they had before they were put on guitars, and you could kind of try and choose out the flamier ones. So I got this kind of slight flame, love the colour, you know, that sort of very faded burst, almost got that sort of Slash Appetite for Destruction or Peter Green kind of lemon bursty kind of vibe to it. Everything about it is stock. I've never changed anything. The pickups are stock. Never wanted to change anything about it. I just think it sounds great. And I've strung this, I'm pretty sure all my guitars, Strats or Les Pauls, are all 10 to 46 Ernie balls if I can get them. That's no pedals, straight into the amp thing. I haven't played it once yet, look. A little bit of the very thing. It's wicked, right? What other pedals do I like? I haven't really tried many into the Marshally thing. What's the Dane? Pretty hard not to get a good sound out of a Dane. All day I could do that. And you're going to see a video soon where Pete and I shoot these Les Pauls out. And as good as this one is, I think it probably comes a very close second. But these are great. Absolutely great. This is a keeper. In fact, I'd like to think I've got to a stage in my guitar playing life, or guitar collecting life, whatever you call it, where kind of everything can be a keeper, as long as things don't go horrendously wrong for me. Right, that's the Les Paul. Is there anything else to tell you about this other than, what is it about, you know, that and that? 54, 58, the very first Strat, the very first Les Paul. How did they get it so right off the bat? I know lots of you will be saying, no, there's other brands have taken it to another level and blah, 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 blah. But I disagree. Anyway, speaking of other brands, this is probably the most generous gift I've ever had. So, the wonderful man, Paul Reed Smith, who makes guitars that you might have heard of. And I never really kind of connected with like a Custom 24 or a Custom 22. Beautiful guitars, beautifully made, Some amazing artists play them. We sell loads of them, so they're obviously appealing to lots and lots of people. But when they did the 594, the single cut version of the 594, that was the first one that really made me go, oh, maybe I might want one of those. And whilst I was trying to decide whether or not I actually did want one of those or not, the lovely sales manager for PRS in the UK happened to tell Paul that I was, a little bit enamoured with these. And so Paul surprised me at the NAMM show by gifting me this, which was very, very, very kind of him. So let's have a little listen to... Turn that delay off. So again, this is straight into the Humboldt, no pedals. Quite different to play to the Les Paul. It's got a more modern feeling neck, a little bit thinner feeling neck. The scale length is, where does 594 come from? It's 25 point, no, was it 59 something? It's something to do with the scale length. It's a teeny weeny bit longer than the Les Paul. I thought the pickups, they sound a little hotter to me. Maybe a little bit less bass end. It's very nice to play. It's got modern features, like coil taps and... So that's nice, gives it like an extra sort of dimension. This is the light speed. It's a great guitar. Sounds great. Oh man, I could do this video for hours. That's two pedals. That's a very thing into a light speed. So there we go. So that's the 594 single cut. Isn't it beautiful? I love this colour. Where is my guitar buying journey going next? I buy pedals. I say buy. I buy pedals. Amps wise, not so much because I'm not a gigging person. So as long as I've just got something here I can plug into, I'm a happy man. What else do I want? There's a part of me that feels like I just need a proper telly. I know, not proper, like a solid body telly. What else? What else? I don't know really. What do you think I need? I mean, it's just like, I like those G&L ASATs as well. I think I like that. I like that kind of fatter, ballsier sound, but not instead of, just as well as. You get to the point where you just end up going, I've got like enough guitars now, right? Sometimes if you buy another one, all that happens is one of your old ones just feels sort of left out. Let's just finish this. I'll do a little, I must kind of just show you, I don't even know if my iPhone's still working. Let's hope it is, because I'm now trying to show you here. This is the Simplifier. I've just got reverb running through the effects loop. So let's just quickly go through the basic sounds of this guitar. I'll stick with this basic guitar. So here is the American Californian sounds. Have I got gain on here? I've got delay on. That's what it is. Right, turn the delay off. So I've got volume and gain controls, treble, middle and bass controls. Pretty much, there's a little bit of extra treble, a little bit of extra bass on here. Let me turn it all flat and you can kind of see. Obviously the Fendery, the middle one is the least gainy of the three. I can change, I've got stereo cab simulation here, so I've got both cabinets at the moment set to 4x12s. If I switch them to 212s, unsurprisingly we lose a bit of bass. If I switch them both to 112s, now each cab has a sweep control in it to go from a mic that is off axis, so that would be, I'm back on the 412 now with everything off axis. Or I can wind them both round to being on center, so that'll be the brightest. And what I was doing for most of this, I basically had both cabs on the 412 with one a little bit more on the center and one a little bit more on off axis. So neither extreme, more like kind of set like that. I've got a presence and a resonance control and also a power amp valve emulation. So on the Fender, I've got it set to the 6L6. So here we go. As I said, I've got an input, I've got an effects return, which is how I'm running the reverb. I've got the effects return is stereo as well, which is crazy. Stereo return anyway. Headphone output, auxiliary input, XLRs are going to the little Zoom recording device. The jack outputs are going to the little monitors I'm using in the room. And on the side is a spread on and off control. So I've got that on. I'm guessing that's just separating the stereo-ness of it, even though it's not running in stereo. So here's the Fender. If I add some light speed, what I really liked about this was I really felt like I was in touch with the amplifier in a way that sometimes on digital products, digital emulation products, although latency is the wrong word, there is just this slight sense of disconnection, and you don't even really sense it unless you go from playing a guitar amp to playing the digital to back again, and then your brain begins to sort of perceive something. If you're just plugged into the digital thing all the time, I'm not even sure you perceive it. But I really like the fact that this didn't do that. So yeah, a little bit of distortion into a Fendery kind of sounding amp. Nobles, Mini. Dane. Could have some compression on there if I wanted to. Anyway, so that's that one. Then if we go to the AC one, which is the one I've sort of explored the least, so I will change this. Okay, so we don't have an EL84 setting, so I don't know, I'll put this on EL34s just to see what we get here. Again, no pedals yet other than the reverb. Still through 412, should I change it to 212s? I probably should, but... I like the 412 in the room for all of them. I just think it adds the extra bass end in. But I think the AC one is my least favourite of the three, but then I'm wondering whether that might just be because maybe the actual amp itself is probably my least favourite of the three as well. I could tweak this plenty, I'm sure. And then finally is the MS Brit, which again is pretty cool. It's doing... It can do a clean sound. So I've got this back on the EL34 setting now. But I was impressed with the gain in here. You know, there is a little bit of bark in just from the Simplifier. So that's just this. So. And then a little bit of just the very thing, just to... So there you go, little trip through all my guitars and my favourite new toy. I guess this could sit on the end of a pedal board if you wanted it to. It's not a powered amp, so there's no, you can't drive a speaker off of this. It's got to be plugged into something like a PA system or a hi-fi, or straight into a recording console or something like that, or headphones. There's a headphone socket on the front. There's an aux in. Run some music through it if you want to jam along, and it's affordable. I say affordable. It's I want to say $2.99, but I should have looked that up first. I think it's $2.99. So it's less than something. It's quite a lot less than something, say a Strymon Iridium. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. I'm sure if you ask enough in the comments section, Pete will do the same on his guitar collection. Now is the time we find out whether or not I've pressed all the correct buttons on the recording equipment to get it to record, or if I've just been pointlessly talking to myself for the last hour or so. Okay, anyway, stay safe everybody, and I'll see you on Andertons TV soon. Bye-bye.